Alright, hey. Just wanted to quick throw a couple of updates at you. For starters, I'm gonna be going to see a movie today. Probably, I'll check, in a couple hours. Gonna go see that Public Enemies movie with my friend JC. So I might have like a little quick movie review or something later on tonight of that, so I can give my first impressions and all that. And yesterday I had a pretty long talk online with a friend of mine I hadn't talked to in a while, a friend of mine from high school. That was refreshing. I think... No, that was probably something else. Oh, my paycheck came in today. I didn't actually go get it yet, but I'll be doing that sometime, probably before I go see the movie. Alright, yeah, and I remember at the end of my last video I said I was gonna try and bring up some theories and stuff that I've been thinking about. I think I only got one that I really wanted to talk about today, because I don't really know how long it's going to take to get out all I wanted to say about it. And I don't really have a name for it, I just have what I call it, because it's just sort of something that I do. And after thinking about it as something that I do, I kind of thought that maybe this is something that a lot of people do, but they don't know it. Sort of like, or they know it, but they just haven't really given it a name. Like, they just probably read it off as just normal behavior or something. This is how it went. Basically, I call it mirroring. Mirroring. Like, just bouncing off of something and taking it back. And this is basically what it was. It was basically a method of learning about yourself. And I figure it was something that I had done subconsciously for a while until I noticed that I was doing it on purpose to try and learn about myself. And that's basically what it was. I was trying to go on this crusade of figuring myself out, because I didn't really get myself. I figured people were easy enough for me to understand, at least to the point where once I know a certain amount about somebody, I don't really need to know anything else. And in that regard, people were easy for me to figure out, but I wasn't for myself. I couldn't figure myself out. That probably has a name, I'm not really sure. Like a politically correct statement that some social scientists figured out how to identify. But basically, I couldn't really figure myself out in the same way that I figured other people out. That makes sense enough. Kind of like I can't see my own eyes without the help of a mirror. Now, this is where mirroring comes in. And it actually doesn't really involve a mirror per se, like a reflective object or whatever, to look at myself. At least not directly. It's an analogy for basically, I would take my understanding of people, or a person in particular, someone I knew very well. I knew how they would react to something, and that would make it easier. If I knew how they would react to something, that made it easier for the mirroring process. And this is how it would go. I would do something that I knew they would react to, and I would know their reaction to it. I would take their reaction that I took, so I'm trying to draw this out here. It's like, I do something, they take it, and then they react to it, and it comes back to me. I get their response from what I had done, and what I do is I take their response and filter out their, because if you think about it this way, they couldn't have responded back to me had I not done something. So what I do is I take out their personal part of that feedback, so that all I end up needing from their feedback is what I sent them. And what I sent them is what I learn about myself. That's mirroring. Now, this might sound terribly confusing for a lot of people, maybe just because I don't explain it well, or whatever. But basically, it kind of comes across as something I feel like a lot of people do subconsciously. They just sort of do it without knowing they're doing it. And I don't mean those times when someone is told that they should do something better because it's crap, and then they think to themselves, does that mean I'm crap? No, it's nothing like that. It's like, I call it mirroring because it best resembles what happens in a mirror. In particular, when you think about a mirror in a room with different colored light. Like, let's say you're looking at yourself in a mirror, like a literal mirror, like you were standing in front of a mirror. And there's a red light in the room, so all light in the room is going to have that red to it. Now, color adjustment, if you remove the red, then you're going to have white, and you're going to have what is supposed to be seen. So if you're going to take that actual scenario and compare it to my mirroring theory, it would work like you are still you in each of the cases, and you're still sending at the mirror, and in the actual person's case, the person that you're sending the action to is the mirror, and then there's the mirror. Okay, so you got the person, and then you got the mirror. And then the mirror flecks back, like the person reacts to what you have done, and what you get back is filtered through them, through the mirror. And basically, the mirror case, like the actual mirror case, the light is, like the colored light, the color of the light in particular, is their personal change towards what you had put toward the mirror. And all I do, if I'm going to keep with the mirror analogy, is I just filter out their color from what they do. And that might have made things more confusing, but I'm trying to say it in a different way so that people who didn't get it the first time could possibly get it this time. And all I'm really trying to get to is I kind of figure if people can better figure that out, figure out how to make better use of their surroundings in that way. And maybe not even just people. Maybe like, well, basically it starts out with the foundation of knowing how to filter out input, certain kinds of input. And for me, it was just getting to know that person well. So, understandably, I would probably do it with my best friend. And one of the typical things that we have, it's a friend thing, we'll mess around. We'll just crack a joke at each other like an insult. It would sound like an insult to anybody else who wasn't a friend, but because we're friends, we know it's a joke. Those kind of things. I mean, people do that with their friends all the time. And we do that kind of stuff, and I'll do those, and I'll know how he'll respond. But here's the fault to it. I mean, this isn't a perfect system by any means, because when you deal with people, nothing's perfect. First of all, like the main fault I think most people are, if people who do get it, they could probably understand that when you get something back and you filter out something, it's not like you filter it out as in like you take it in and then it just sort of doesn't come in or something, like you stop it from coming in. No, it still comes in, and you have to consciously pick it out of that whole chunk that they had sent at you. And so you have to find what you need. All that other stuff is still there, so you take the full response like normal. It just isn't taken as like it's not taken like a normal response. So it just sort of accumulates this like waste almost. I don't really know what else to call it. I mean, that's really the best way to put it. Like this, it just sort of builds up into something. And I feel like that might seem like a more complicated way to try and get to know more about yourself. But that's what I had done, because I'd figured out at a young age how to use my surroundings to help me be more comfortable within them. And in that, I figured out people. Like, I figured out how to know more about people. Like, I learned to learn about people. And with that, I ended up learning to learn about myself through them. And I could go more in about that, but I'm kind of running out of time, and YouTube kind of beat me up last time with some timing issues. Alright, but yeah, that was kind of my mirroring theory in a nutshell. I don't even know if you can call it a theory as much as just one of my things. Alright, yeah, so I might be back later tonight with like a movie review kind of thing, and if my camera thing isn't giving me any more problems. I've actually been working for the last 2 hours trying to get my camera to work. I'm amazed that it's working now. So, yeah, I'll talk to you guys later, and I might bring back another theory if I can, or maybe just another update.